It's that time again to start getting ready for Portland's premier pop culture event. Rose City Comic Con is returning September 5th through the 7th, and they're bringing a special guest from The Goonies, Stranger Things, Battlestar Galactica, and that's on top of all the already amazing roster of comic book artists, writers, and non-stop panels and activities. You can buy your badges now at rosecitycomiccon.com, and even more guest announcements are still coming, so stay tuned. Tired of driving to the coast? Grab a ride on the North Coast Express. It's the new seasonal transit option connecting Portland to the most iconic destinations on the Oregon North Coast. This luxury bus runs Friday through Sundays through the end of August. Flexible ticketing lets you choose between a spontaneous day trip or a longer stay. For schedules, tickets, and other details, go to visittheoregoncoast.com/express. That's visittheoregoncoast.com/express.
Recently, I've been thinking about getting into fishing. As Portlanders, we're in a pretty ideal location to pick up the hobby because Oregon has year-round opportunities to catch a ton of different types of fish in nearby rivers, mountain lakes, even the Pacific Ocean. But where do you start? And what fish are safe or even legal to eat? Well, today on CityCast Portland, I'm talking with local fishing legend Kevin Collier, aka Crappie Killa. He's going to set us up with everything we need to know about our first catch, the gear, the locations, even some cooking tips. And after my chat with Kevin, hang tight for a sponsored interview with Clint Benson, the founder and owner of Kenai Redfish Company. I promise, it's worth a listen. It's Wednesday, July 30th. I'm executive producer John Notarianni in for Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. So, Kevin, I want you to know where I'm at skill-wise in terms of fishing, which is nothing. I've held a fishing pole once or twice in my life. I don't know what I'm doing. I grew up around it because I'm from Michigan.
Okay.
But I am not a fisherman by any stretch. But you've been talking with our host, Claudia, and you said that you can get anybody ready to go out fishing in a single conversation. Is it really that easy?
It seems that easy.
Okay.
I wish I could get people into fishing that one time and then just they're on their way. But as far as the necessities, what you need to get out there as a beginner, definitely 100%. I'm confident in my skills enough to, point you in the right direction where you're not going to spend a lot of money and you get to save a few bucks, but then still be a beginner, but at the same time, catch something that a pro would catch.
And you know what you're doing backwards and forwards. I understand that fishing is really important to you. It is a huge part of your life.
Definitely. Yeah. I started fishing probably at the age 5 or 6. Uh-huh. And I've always dreamed of what I'm doing now. It was my dream. My buddies in school, they wanted to be cops and firemen. And I told my teacher, I want to be a fisherman,
Yeah.
And, it just took off from there, man. I've been fishing for a long time. It's my life.
Yeah. So why do you think fishing is such an important skill to learn? What do you get out of it? And what do you think the rest of us are going to get out of it?
Well, I found out later on in my life that I was fishing so much, man, because it was the peace. It was fishing is like my therapy. For me, actually catching a fish is a second to me. I just want to be out in the outdoors. I don't even have to catch a fish. That's how I got hooked on fishing. But I believe that everyone should try fishing, not only for the therapy, your peace of mind, but it's fun, man. And you get to eat the fish,
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I do feel somehow fishing feels like one of those things that there's people who know how to do it and they know all the gear and they know all the spots and it's like a secret. It's like a secret club.
Oh my God. You know what? It is. It really is, and I used to be like that. I promise I was one of those guys that wouldn't give you my spot. But nowadays, I'll tell a guy exactly. I piss a lot of people off with this, too, because they're like, don't tell everybody. Don't tell. Well, one thing that I've learned is I can tell you exactly the place I'm fishing, the time I was fishing, what I was using. But it's really up to you to go out there and do the exact same thing that I was doing to catch the fish. So I don't keep any secrets. I give them all up now.
Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
Let's start with gear. What do I have to buy? How much should I be expecting to spend if I'm going to get out there?
Okay. So that's a really good question. I would send you to get some affordable fishing gear. Let's start with a spinning rod. And the reason why I say spinning rod, because when you get into bait caster is just another level. And we don't want to scare people away from fishing. So a spinning rod is the easiest rod to use out there, unless you want to go all the way back to the push button, that kids use. And that's
Yeah,
similar.
I think that's what I held when I was 10 years old, the last time I had a fishing rod.
And
yeah.
you know what? Those are really good. Those are like some of the, we get kids hooked on fishing with those push button rods. But, adults, I'll tell them, go get a spinning rod, get a regular 6 foot, 6 inches or a 7 foot spinning rod. You can catch panfish all the way up to big gang bass, and you might get away with catching a steelhead. My son just caught a salmon on a 7 foot rod. Every fishing pole has different powers. You got your extra light, you got your light, medium, heavy. I mean, heavy. It goes so on. And I'm speaking in the power, the certain line that this rod can hold. You get into heavier rods. Now we're fishing for big sturgeon. So if you came to me and said, Crappie, I'm going to Hag Lake. They got crappie, they got trout, they got bass and all this. I'm sending you and I'm getting you a 6'6" spinning rod. And hopefully you would be able to get a combination rod. And that's just, you get the spinning rod with the reel on it itself. I tell people if it got line on it, take it off and go get some good line, because 9 times out of 10, I'm serious, man. 9 times out of 10, if you buy a combination rod, that's a spinning rod with a spinning reel, and it has line on it, 9 times out of 10, that line is not good. So I tell people, take that line off, get some good line. I would tell you to get like some 6 to 8 pound tests to start, because you'll still be able to use it for panfish. But again, you can catch a bigger bass and trout and so on.
So where are we starting with bait? Are we like buying a pint of worms? Are we like, what are we starting with?
You know what? Worms are great.
Yeah, okay.
Worms, you know what? Because everything is going to bite the worm. Everything eats the worm in fresh water. I always tell people worm. Every single thing out there would bite the worm. So weight and worm, bobber and worm is always a good start.
Okay. Yep. So we got our rod, we got some worms and a bobber, sounds like. And are we going on a boat? Are we doing it from the shore?
If you have a boat, that's better. Definitely. Boat is always better. But if you're, starting out, definitely you're going to be fishing off the bank, All
right. Well, we got our gear. Where are we going? Like, what are some beginner-friendly spots where I could go out with this gear that I don't entirely know how to use and, like, actually catch some fish? And what kind of fish are going to be out there? Like, where do you recommend?
I would send you as a beginner. I would send you there's a lot of different lakes here locally. They have a lake called Blue Lake that's local right here. People use it to swim, have barbecues. There's some good fish in there. The ODFW, that's the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. They stock it with rainbow trout. But you'll catch panfish, bluegill, and bass. Those are your warm water species. You'll get into some carp. But I would just tell you, hey, hook a bobber up, tie your hook on, put a worm on, and just drop it over the rail.
And Blue Lake, it's like north of Troutdale?
Yeah, Blue Lake is north of Troutdale.
Yeah, that's like right along the Columbia. That's not too far
definitely.
at all.
Right there next to the Columbia, right next to Chinook Landing. That's a good place to start. If you didn't want to take a drive, Hag Lake, I've been sending a lot of people out to Hag Lake lately. And the reason why is because their lake is pretty deep. It's a reservoir. So their trout will hang in there year round. But then again, you got all of those warm water species, the bass, the bluegill, the crappie, they're all in there. So I've been sending people there to fish. And there's so much shoreline, it's ridiculous. So you just pick your spot and get out there and try it.
Hag Lake's not too far. That's like out past Forest Grove.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's not that far.
Okay, so you're talking trout, total beginner here. Never done this before. How do I know what fish I'm catching? You know what I mean?
Hey, that's a good, you know what? That's a really good question, because there's regulations for everything. If you hook a trout in Hag Lake, you can keep it, but there's a certain amount of them that you can keep. But the good thing about these lakes like Hag Lake, you can go to their website and they'll show you each species they have in this lake, and along with the regulations. And I tell people, please get familiar with the regulations, because I've sent guys out there and they started having so much fun as a beginner. They hooked too many trouts. Luckily, they were still alive on a stringer, so they were able to release them. But you can go out there and have a lot of fun and end up with a lot of fish, more than you're supposed to. But it's good to get familiar with the regulations with the state. That's one of the things that I tell people first, because you have to have a license before we can even go buy any of this gear.
That's right. Yeah. The licensing part. Like,
definitely. Yeah.
I need a fishing license.
Yes, that is very important.
How do I do that?
Yeah, the ODFW, again, they have a website. And you actually have to go in there and create an account. And then it gives you so many different options, a fishing license to buy. You being a beginner, I would tell you, you know what? How many times this year are you going to fish? If you were just going to say, hey, man, I'm just going to fish this one time, I would tell you, hey, just buy a day license.
You can get like a day pass.
Oh, yeah, you can get a day pass. So if you feel like you're going to do it more than once, it's better just to go ahead and get a year tag.
Yeah, well, I want to get into what we're actually going to be doing once I get out there. But first, let's take a quick break.
If you're a home DIYer like me, you might have a few leftover paint cans gathering dust in your basement. Or maybe your house already came with a bunch of them like mine did. So I'm happy to share that Paint Care makes recycling your leftover paint, stain, and varnish simple and easy with convenient drop-off locations as close as your local hardware store. Paint Care has 3 simple rules for painting smarter. 1, buy the right amount of paint for the job. 2, use up leftover paint. And 3, recycle the rest. If you visit paintcare.org/3simplerules, you'll find tips on how to do all 3. Buying the right amount of paint for your project, exploring DIY ideas for how to use up leftover paint, and also just look up the nearest drop-off site in your neighborhood. Paint Care is all about keeping it simple for Oregonians. Cathedral Park Co-Housing is creating a community of connection and belonging in North Portland. Their common spaces are designed for accessibility, helping create a multi-generational, mixed-income, and mixed-ability community that welcomes everyone. Plus, their land is walking distance or a very short drive to many amenities, including, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful parks in our city and plenty of nature trails. To learn more about Cathedral Park Co-Housing and see if it might be a right fit for you or a loved one, go to cathedralparkcohousing.com/events. That's cathedralparkcohousing.com/events and sign up for a virtual information session or just call Alicia at 503-319-5003. Act soon because they are close to breaking ground and homes are selling fast.
All right, I'm on the banks. I've made it to Hag Lake and I'm fishing. Is it really just like cast the line and just wait for it to happen and reel it in? Like, is there anything more to the mechanics of actually doing it that I need to know about?
It all depends. You know, like I said, if you were just throwing bait out there, let's just say, hey, you just want to go out, throw a slide and sinker with a hook on there with some power bait, then you're going to throw it out, you're going to let it sit, and you're going to wait for the bite and reel it in. But it's really that simple. I tell people a lot of the times because they're saying, how do I know when I got a bite? I'll tell them, you know what? They got these bails that you can buy and put at the top of your rod tip. I tell them, put a bail on it. When that bail starts ringing, you know something is happening.
There's a fish on the other end.
Oh, man, a bail is like, you know what? You start off with a bail, man. I still have bails to this day, and I've been fishing since I was a kid.
I feel like you're starting to bring back the memories of like the 1 or 2 times that I've been fishing in my life when I was a kid and like having to fish on the end of the line.
Yep.
And then not knowing what to do with it once I got it. Like, should I just have a bucket? Like, how do I store them?
There's all kind of different ways. You can buy a stringer. It looks like a keychain on one side, the little loop, whatever that deal is that holds our keys on it. And it has a little rope tied to that. And then another little metal piece that slides through the fish's gill. Once it slides through the gill, it goes back through that loop and you got the fish lasso down and you can stick that little metal piece back in the ground and the fish can actually survive in the water that it just came up out of.
Oh my gosh. So you sort of keep it like on a leash.
Oh yeah, definitely keeping it on a leash. That's exactly what it is, man. And they have, man, I've never heard nobody say that before, but I'm going to use that. That's so funny. Leashing the fish. Yeah, straight leashing it, bro. I've had leashes get away too. If you don't have them tied down to, ground good enough, the leash will get away because the fish is still swimming,
Yeah.
But yeah, they got those. They got another leash. It's called a chainer. And it's like these little hooks that already come fixed on it. And you just take those hooks, open them up, and then put it through the fish's gill, through his mouth, and put it back on the hoop. And then he's back on the leash again. So those are good ways to do it. I see a lot of guys use buckets, as long as you got that water. I like to keep my fish very fresh when we're out there fishing. The guys on the boat, we have live wells and we're pumping water from the lake constantly in that live well. So they're just in there like they're in a fish tank swimming with all the air they need. So when you get into buckets, now you're going to have to change the water back and forth, you know?
Okay. All right. I think I'm starting to catch on.
I think we need to go fishing. That's what it is. I think, see, all this information I'm giving you here, oh man, we wouldn't even be talking about it that we probably already have a fish on by now.
Oh man, I mean that's the thing with podcasts. It's like we talk through how to do it, but at a certain point, you just have to get out there and like do it and see it yourself. So, hopefully, we're getting people excited about it, and they're going to want to go and try themselves and make mistakes and screw it up themselves. And sort of
see, you just said another key thing, man. I think this guy's been telling John, "Are you really a fisherman?" And you just testing my skills right now because you saying certain things. That's everything that you're saying is making so much sense, man.
No, I'm just good at making mistakes.
Okay, good. Because if you can't make a mistake, fishing is. If you can't accept a mistake, fishing is not for you. Because I've been fishing all my life and I still make mistakes, you know?
Well, we talked a little bit about some of the fish that you want to keep, some of them you don't want to keep, and like there's regulations around that. But like, is there anything that we should just release right off the bat? Is there anything that you're going to hook and be like, oh no, I got to get rid of this and send it back?
When you're out there fishing for salmon and steelhead, they have native fish, and that's just a wild fish that came up on the river and did his own thing. We have to release those. At certain points of the year, they'll let us keep them. But the hatchery fish, we can keep. To answer your question even more in depth, I've seen people eat carp. I've seen them eat stuff. I'm serious. So like, I guess it really all depends on what you like to eat, because I've seen people keep stuff that I would never keep. I'm going to let all of that stuff go. The carp, the sucker fish, the shad. I mean, there's just certain things I'm just not eating.
I grew up in Detroit, and I spent a lot of time watching guys fishing off of the banks of the Detroit River into one of the most polluted rivers. And they're taking them home and eating them, and they seemed okay.
I had one of my best walleye fishing trips on the Detroit River. We called it the Beat Down. Oh, yeah. Beat Down in D-Town. And we were fishing on the Canadian side. It was so much fun on that river. But yeah, you guys got lots of species out there on that river.
Just don't ask any questions about what's been going on in that river in the last 100 years. Yeah. You don't want to think about that.
Right.
Speaking of rivers, like we got the Columbia, we got the Willamette. Which are safe to fish in? Like which would you eat out of? Can you fish on the Willamette in Portland? Is it safe?
Oh yeah, definitely. You can fish on the Willamette. A lot of guys tend to eat more fish out of the Columbia River than the Willamette. A lot of those fish are migrating up through the rivers. Both Willamette and the Columbia receive salmon and steelhead that are migrating. So those are safe. I believe the ODFW on their website, they have a certain section and it tells you about what type of fish you can eat, like how many you could eat per month. We stay away from eating a lot of the fish out of there. I mean, all these waters have mercury in them, you know. They have it on the website. They tell you, hey, you can only eat this many panfish per month. I mean, it's in depth. They got it really down. And they'll tell you about each species. And then when you go out there, they have signs letting you know right there at these docks and at the water, don't eat these fish.
Yeah.
You know?
But like Columbia versus Willamette, like is one better or worse for beginners or?
I would say, you know, for a beginner, just because of the Willamette species, the Willamette has a lot more panfish than the Columbia, than the lower Columbia. If you were to go out above Bonneville Dam, it's pretty much the same thing. You got a whole lot of the panfish and walleye. But as a beginner, I would push more people to the Willamette just because of the species that are living, a lot more of the species that are living in there. And they're just easier to get to. First, the Columbia. The Columbia runs a little faster, and that's just a different type of river. Doesn't have as much structure as the Willamette River. Willamette River has a lot of old docks, a lot of old shipyards. And there's a dock right on the Willamette River right across from the waterfront called the Kevin Duckworth Dock.
Duckworth Dock,
And you see people riding their bikes up and down it. I tell people to go there and try it out because you'll catch a number of different species there.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah, fairly easier than the Columbia, definitely.
Okay, so yeah, just right off the Duckworth Dock.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, I think this is the most important part. We got our fish. We're taking them home. We're going to try and make dinner. Like, what's your favorite recipe that you're making with the catches that you're getting?
Well, I like to fry them. You know, I like to fry my fish. And that's just basically a skillet with some grease and some cornmeal. I call it putting a cornmeal jacket on them, and I let the grease do the rest. But lately, we've been putting salmon on the grill. Searing it in the pan on top of the stove is really easy. Baking it is very easy. So there's so many different ways to make fish. And then nowadays we got Google. Oh my God, all you got to do is say walleye recipe.
Yeah.
Follow the recipe,
Yeah. Yeah.
But my favorite is putting a cornmeal jacket on them and baptizing them in the grease.
Baptizing them in the grease.
Baptizing them in the grease, man.
Well, last thing I got to ask, Kevin, you are Crappie Killa. Where'd the name come from?
Well, I was given the name by a bunch of old timers on the Swan Island dock on the Willamette River. And I was the youngest guy out there on the dock with all these old timers. And they used to wonder, like, what are you doing out here? You're not at the club running around. And I was just addicted to fishing. And I was really good at it. So one of the old timers, they were amazed, like, how are you catching all these damn crappie like this?
Yeah.
So I got the name right there given to me by one of my old friends that I still fish with. And I've been Crappie Killer ever since. And I actually know this fish very, very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say I'm the best ever, but I know how to catch these things. I know how to locate them more than anything. I know how to find them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and you're more than just, a fisherman. Like, you've got your own bait.
Yeah, man. I got my own crappie baits, and you can find those at crappiekillerbaitcompany.com. We just created this crappie jig, man. You can hold it up and the tail on it just doesn't stop. And it's about the action for these crappies. So I have them in multiple colors. I have a scent, Procure scent. A lot of people are familiar with Procure scent. You look up NODR, you'll find my Crappie Killer scent there. And this stuff is working so well that a lot of guys in the tournaments are using them. And it's highly effective.
Yeah, and we'll throw links to some of this stuff in the show notes for the episode. Cool. So if anybody's curious, they can check it out. Well, Kevin, thank you so much, man. I learned a lot. This sounds fun. I'm going to have to get out there this summer.
Man, thank you for having me. And I'm serious about that invite, man. I'm dead serious. Like, we got to get you out there. I know that people I know they can only hear you, but we definitely got to get them out there. I don't care if they just hear the excitement of you catching your first fish with me, but we got to do that.
It's going to happen. We're going to get the photos out to the audience once it does happen too, because I'm taking you up on that. I'm not joking.
Yeah,
awesome.
Let's do it.
And stick around because we're not done talking about fish quite yet. Claudia's talking with Clint Benson of Kenai Red Fish Company for a sponsored chat about a local salmon CSA.
Hey, Claudia here with Clint Benson, the founder of Kenai Red Fish Company. Clint, thanks for hanging out with me. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Thanks, Claudia.
For those of the listeners who have not heard our ad talking about your company, can you just tell them a little bit about Kenai Red Fish and like what you guys are all about?
Yeah, you bet. Kenai Red is the name of the wild Alaskan sockeye coming into the Cook Inlet. In this case, it's going up the Kenai River. So some folks think it's a Kenai and ask what a redfish is. So we put a hyphen between the Kenai and the red in order to kind of link those two together.
I wondered why. I was like, what is this dash for? I'm curious, the Cook Inlet, is that by Anchorage?
Yeah, that's the body of water below Anchorage, comes in from the Gulf of Alaska. But they're all out there doing their thing for 2, 3, 4 years after they've been in the fresh water in the rivers. And then they work their way out to the ocean, do mysterious things out there because no one really understands what happens once they're there. And then they come back.
Well, I want you to know that I've seen The Little Mermaid, so I'm pretty sure I know what they do. They go out and they start a Caribbean jazz band.
Yep, that's it. And they hang out with Moana every once in a while.
Yeah, they do. They put out some great tunes. So let's talk about this really interesting model, which is a salmon share. People have heard of CSA shares. They know, like, hey, if I sign up, I'll get turnips and whatnot throughout the season. But you guys have focused on Portland households and salmon specifically. Can you explain how this works? Because also the fact that you're based out of Northeast Portland and fishing in Alaska, it's so interesting. Like, I wouldn't have guessed that we would have something that local.
Yeah, we think of a salmon share as your personal portion of our wild Alaskan salmon catch. And we fillet and flash freeze the fish within hours of the catch to lock in the freshness. Then we distribute it directly to our community in the fall. So it's a simple, reliable way to keep your freezer stocked with the healthiest protein on the planet, wild caught, never farmed, and fully traceable back to our boats.
Right. How can someone, let's say like me, how can I order a share? Like, I don't really have a huge freezer. How does that work out?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so what we've learned over time is a traditional share is buying it in bulk. And on the website are a number of different share options. And so for
Hmm.
those who have a big chest freezer at home, they can buy it in bulk. And there's a 10-pound minimum, and the bulk share is going to be the best price because it'll be delivered once or twice a year. But we've also added an alternative to where a person or a family, a household, can purchase it on a monthly basis, have as little as 3 pounds ready for them with their name on it each month or every other month. And one of the things we have on our website is a fish calculator. So you can go into the calculator and you can put in how often are you eating salmon, and
Oh,
then it will give you a guideline for how much in total you would be looking for. And then you can decide again what path, the monthly or what we call bi-monthly.
that's awesome.
We're up there today catching the fish. Our season started about a week and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
And so we process it by hand at our facility in Ninilchik, Alaska. By hand is very rare. We've got 11 college-age kids that have come up to join us this summer. So we provide them this unique opportunity. And for anyone who's listening and has a college-age person or above, we're always looking for folks to have some interest in what we're doing. And I'd love to talk to you about joining us in Alaska in the future.
I recently went to Alaska. I didn't get as far north as Anchorage, but I had such a wonderful time. The romance of that place. I've not seen this wildness before, you know? It's awesome what you're doing, Clint. It's really great.
Well, thank you very much. And so we're not a national online, seafood delivery business. Ours is more local and very much word of mouth. And that's what our goal is. We are sustainable in the sense that we don't want to get too big. We're a family business. So I have 2 daughters, Allison and Rachel, in the business. Allison has been with me since the very beginning.
Since birth, really, right?
Well, since birth. There's that. She's been in the business side of Kenai Red since the beginning of Kenai Red, at a time when we both had to have other jobs. Our business was only seasonal. And we've now been fortunate enough to have a community that supported us through the shares, through the farmers markets, through events that we do in collaboration with CSAs and local wineries. So when you buy from us, we offer salmon, but we also have halibut, we have cod, we've got side striped shrimp, wild Alaskan shrimp. We have an award-winning cold smoke lox, which is amazing. And then we have a hot smoke spread.
Ooh, cool. Well, you can check all that out at KenaiRed.com to learn more, to sign up for some shares. CityCast 15 is going to get you $15 off. We're going to have all of that in our show notes as well, so you're just a click away. Clint, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on and telling us more about your business. And everyone, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Pura vida.
Isn't that Costa Rica?
No, yeah, it comes from Costa Rica, but I think it's
Costa-
universal.
That's all for us today here on CityCast Portland, but thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend about it or leave us a rating or a review? And don't forget, you could support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast neighbor. Just visit membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.